Ladies and gentlemen, coming soon, a podcast you've all been waiting for. The Movie Podcast to end all movie podcasts. A podcast that discusses and critiques the best of the best and the worst of the worst movies playing at a theater near you. With a host whose opinions have been deemed as fact by your favorite fact checkers. And that's a fact. Without further ado, let me introduce you to the movie maestro, the tyrant of theater, the gumshoe of review, the man that makes theater employees and Hollywood execs shiver by his mere presence. Ladies and gentlemen, the judge, the jury, the sultan of cinema, Justin Henson! Welcome to the Movie Wire.
That is right. Welcome to the Movie Wire. I am your host, Justin, and I hope everybody out there had a fantastic movie weekend. The Batman opened up in theaters, and the box office results showed that everybody was there to support the Caped Crusader. Those of you that tuned in for my early review, I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't, take a look at my last episode where I review the Batman. We will be touching a little bit on that in this episode, but we will be talking about two major films that are dominating the Oscars. First one will be The Power of the Dog, with the lead in nominations of 12 Academy Award nominations. The second one with 4 nominations will be Don't Look Up, both by Netflix. So want to know if it's worth your time? Stay tuned. Let's take a look.
This is not real. This is not real. This isn't happening. Kate, tell me this isn't really happening.
I hear there's something you don't like the looks of.
We discovered a very large comet.
Oh, good for you.
It's headed directly towards Earth.
This comet is what we call a planet killer.
At this exact moment, I say we sit tight and assess.
Sit tight and assess?
Sit tight.
And then assess. The sit tight part comes first, and you got to digest it. That's the assessment period.
This is the worst news in the history of humanity. He just blew us off.
What are we gonna do? We have to release the information.
So we just leak it.
Our guests today have made a pretty big discovery in space.
How big is this thing, though? Can it destroy my ex-wife's house? Is that possible?
There's a 100% chance that we're all going to die.
Kate? Kate?
Hey.
Well, the handsome astronomer can come back anytime, but the yelling lady, not so
Not so much.
We're gonna get the news out there, one way or another.
It's real and it's coming. FBI! Jesus Christ, you could have just called me.
This comet contains $30 trillion worth of material.
What do trillions of dollars matter if we're all gonna die?
Oh, no, what if we're rich? That would be terrible.
You guys discovered a comet? I have a tattoo of a shooting star on my back.
Oh, that's terrific. This could be a complete disaster.
This is already a disaster.
You know that girl from Live TV said we're all gonna die?
No.
Yo, bro! You'll never take me alive!
There it is! Giant comet hurling its way towards Earth! Can you see it?
I can't! My head is in a bag!
I did
That
have
was
the FBI.
Netflix, Don't Look Up, nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best in Film Editing, Best Achievement in Music Written for a Motion Picture, Best Screenplay, and of course, Best Picture. Don't Look Up has a stellar cast that includes Leonardo DiCaprio as Dr. Randall Mindy, or like said in the movie, AILTF, the astronomer I'd like to fuck. Jennifer Lawrence as Kate, Kate Blanchett as Brie Avante, Jonah Hill as Jason Orlean, and Meryl Streep as President Orlean. The movie kicks off with Dr. Mindy and Kate first discovering a comet. That comet is named after Kate, and it's hurtling towards Earth. These astronomers try and warn the world from the proper channels of the government and media, with nobody at first taking it seriously, as politics and image is put before the survival of mankind. This movie is directed and written by Adam McKay, whose directorial resume include 2018's Vice, Anchorman 1 and 2, The Other Guys, Talladega Night, and his writing credits include Vice, Ant-Man, Anchorman 2, Talladega Nights, and he's done numerous Saturday Night Live episodes. Now, if you do your research before the film, there is plenty here to get excited about. A brilliant comedic writer and a cast that is just pure gold. It might be with my high expectations that I was a little put down by this movie, or the fact that I questioned with the politics it covers. Along with the stunning names attached to this movie, I am baffled that this is nominated for so many Academy Awards. The movie tends to have an obvious theme of people of power and how they react to situations in which you don't catch on in the first half of the movie. But you will in the second half of the movie, where Meryl Streep sports a symbolic hat in the second half. It presents the curiosity of how our government and media would react to an extinction event. The movie's first half does a fantastic job of focusing on the frustrations of DiCaprio and Lawrence's characters, with the government putting their own interest before that of the world. Now, this has the audience emotion invested in it. This is where we get frustrated alongside them. The writing is very clever in the first half of the film. Where the movie fails is that it makes it too obvious on which characters they're supposed to represent. Instead, we feel McKay's political frustration in his writing of this script, which I am to guess he wrote this script. If I had to put a date on it, I would guess it would be between 2016 and 2020, because the movie's balance crescendos into living a lot to the audience's imagination, to McKay telling you how it is. The character's growth in this movie fails to develop in an interesting way, because this is what makes the movie fall off balance. Every character is very unlikable and uninteresting. There was definitely a missed opportunity to grow to like the characters, but McKay lets his feeling of politics define his writing in the second half of this movie. McKay has a history of great comedic characters that we love to watch on the big screen, and it's a shame this movie didn't turn out to be more. The movie has some moments of chuckle, but the frustration that it starts to build ends up being annoying, like watching a Karen at a restaurant trying to score a free meal. I found myself cringing more during this movie than laughing. The only funny thing in this movie is Jonah Hill's character that plays the president's son and the president's advisor. Again, take a wild guess who he's trying to portray. He has some good one-liners that you can almost tell were improvised, because it doesn't match the film's tone. That doesn't make it less funny. I laughed anything Jonah Hill and Jennifer Lawrence. Anytime those two were on screen together, I laughed hysterically. That was the only funny part of the movie. The movie had the potential of being an epic comedic disaster film, but like times now, politics tend to make us act differently than our normal selves. In no way does this movie deserve to be next to the other great movies in the Best Picture category. The film is streaming on Netflix now if you dare to watch. I recommend watching it solo where it doesn't bring up a political debate. Finally, I will say this. Come back to us, Adam McKay. Enrich our lives with more of the distractions and brilliance you have brought to our lives in the past. We look to you and your skills for escape from these uncomfortable, tense topics. With that said, it is important to voice your feelings, thought in your work. I support that 110%, but if you are committed to do so in a comedy, at least make it funny.
Our first run together, 1900 and nothing.
It's a long time.
What you doing?
Getting mixed up with her.
You are marvelous, Rose. We were married Sunday.
I wonder what little lady made these.
I did, sir.
Well, Brother Phil?
Open up the gate, let him out.
You sure he's not ready?
Go on, let him out.
He's just a man, Peter. Only another man.
was made by patients and the odds against him.
For what kind of man would I be if I did not help my mother?
Peter!
If I did not save her?
Sort of a lonesome place out here, Pete, unless you get in the swing of things.
That was Netflix original movie nominated for a whopping 12 Academy Awards, including Best Original Score, Best Editing, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Sound, Best Production Design, Best Cinematography, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Actor, Best Director, and finally, Best Picture of the Year. Now, there's debates going up and down Hollywood if streaming should be allowed at the Academy Awards, and we can do a whole separate episode debating this left and right, up and down. But at the end of the day, film is film, art is art, and here we are. Netflix nominated for 12 Academy Awards for one of their pictures. Now, does it deserve the score for this year of the most awards nominated? The answer, in my opinion, is not so much. Now, I'm not saying the film is bad. Absolutely not. This film is quite the opposite. It is actually a pretty brilliant film. And this film is going to be shown at film schools for character study in the years to come. There's a lot of this film to digest. The intent, motive, male masculinity, pride, sexuality, redemption, and assumption. The Power of the Dog is a psychological thriller starring Benedict Cumberbatch as Phil, Christian Dunst as Rose, Jess Plemons as Phil's brother George, and Cody Smith McPhee as Rose's son Peter. Now, Phil and George are wealthy Montana ranchers. When Phil and George stop in at a restaurant ran by Rose and Peter, Phil, showing his male dominance, bullies Peter to the point of Peter walking out on the job, placing his mother Rose in tears. Looking to clear the air, Phil's brother George shows up the next day to make amends and ends up falling for Rose. The two end up married, and Phil's dislike for Rose and her son Peter is not hidden by Phil. Phil continues to taunt Rose and Peter, creating an environment of male masculinity and ego. The movie is directed by Jane Campion, who directed the 1993 Oscar-nominated The Piano, and won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. Jane Campion chooses her projects very carefully. Her movies are captivating, dialogue-driven, and character-driven. When one of these three pieces of the formula falls apart, the movie falls apart. And there is a risk here that she takes in this movie. She has to take her time and add precise perfection to her filmmaking for a movie like this. Does she succeed? Mostly she does. The film succeeds in interesting dialogue, but seems she should go further than what she intends to do with it. She takes very limited risks, it seems, in some of the dialogue that borderlines too intense. When the talent is on screen individually, they are at their best. By watching these characters on screen individually, it adds to the curiosity of the audience, and it gives these characters an individual depth, and we get to know the characters a little bit. The only thing that she falls flat on is the tension between Phil and Rose. That is something I really wanted more in the movie, is to see what led to more pain. I wanted to see more dialogue between the two. I wanted to see more intensity between the two. But that is a nitpick at this, because the chemistry between Benedict and Cody Smith McPhee, who is brilliant in this movie, by the way, he adds an intensity to this that makes you want more. When these two are on screen, they have a dynamic and absolute powerhouse of fireworks. And it makes the audience tilting their heads on what these two are going to do next, or what's the next move, or what their intent is. This film keeps the audience on their feet with pure dialogue. Now, when I say it's a psychological thriller, I'm not talking kind of the loud music bangs, the action-packed. No, this is a dialogue, character-driven movie. This movie won't appeal to everybody. This movie will have some scratching their heads in the end, because the movie in the third act gives us a sense of improvement of the character Phil, and what happens is going to be up for interpretation. Those looking for a great conversation after a movie, this film is for you. The movie will keep a sober mind engulfed in the characters and most of the dialogue. The casting is absolutely perfect. And I also want to give a shout out to Kirsten Dunst in this movie, who is nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And so far, we'll be getting into, up until the Oscars come, I'll get into some Oscar predictions. But this one is going on the top of my list as a win for Kirsten Dunst. This is her forte. I am glad she's picking smarter roles in this, and I can't wait to see what else she does in this career. This is going to be a stepping stone to what she does in the future. Welcome back, Kirsten Dunst. And I just want to say again, this movie will not appeal to everyone. Some people are going to find it slow, some are going to find it boring, but if you actually pay attention to the characters and the dialogue and give out the mantra of Doctor Strange playing in the old Wild West, you might actually find this captivating. I'm going to give The Power of the Dog 3.5 stars. Definitely deserves to be up there for a lot of the nominations, just not all of them, and I will discuss that closer to the Oscars. All right, film lovers, that is it for this week. I will be back next week to review 3 Oscar-nominated Best Pictures: King Richard, Licorice Pizza, and West Side Story. Instead of doing the after-credit trailer sneak peek, I will be doing the review of The Batman for those of you that missed it last week. Don't forget to follow us at Movie Wire Show on Instagram and Twitter. Visit our website at themoviewireshow.com. And until then, support your local movie theater, and we'll see you at the movies.
The Riddler is asking for you.
The killer left this for the Batman. Why is he writing to you?
You came. I've been trying to reach you.
Riddler's latest. It's all about the Waynes. If we don't stand up, no one will.
You got a lot of cats.
I have a thing about strays. The bat and the cat. It's got a nice ring.
A new friend of yours?
I'm not so sure.
I'm just here to unmask the truth about this cesspool we call a city. You're part of this too.
Hey, still! Stay still!
How am I a part of this?
Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were. Bruce Wayne.
All these years, you lied to me, Alfred.
We all have our scars, Bruce. You're still a Wayne.
He's involved in this?
No, he's not involved.
How do you know? He's a vigilante!
Who are you under there? What are you hiding?
Selena, don't throw your life away.
Don't worry, honey. I got 9 of them.
It can be cruel, poetic, or blind. But when it's denied, it's through violence you may find
Justice. The answer's justice.
Come on, vengeance. Let's get into some trouble.
All right, that was The Batman. Now, before I get into it, let me just say we have come a long way in Batman movies. I mean, we started in the 90s with the controversy of the Joel Schumacher bat nipples. We've had Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher, Christopher Nolan, and now Matt Reeves takes the helm. The one thing I will say on the evolution of the Batman films is that this studio learns from its mistakes. Tim Burton had a great vision. Joel Schumacher had an okay film with a good cast that was set for box office success, and we won't talk about Batman and Robin. To be fair, every director has their own vision, and let's be honest, I think we are all guilty of revisiting Batman and Robin one or more times. It is in no way a good film by any means, but sometimes you just need something so stupid and dumb to turn your brain off. I will admit and watch Batman and Robin more than I'd care to admit. I've turned it on mostly for something to fall asleep to that won't keep me up at night watching. Batman and Robin is like the Dude, Where's My Car of Batman movies. You know what? I give you permission to watch it. It's fine. It's stupid. I think that's the one thing that the Batman community can agree on. The movie's awful. It's okay to have a favorite Batman movie, and we will debate up and down for days to come. It will never go away. We will debate the Batman movies more than we will on current politics. With that said, this is my take on the Batman. You've had 4 primary directors with different directions, and depending on your love and how you read into the character of Batman will be up to you. I will say this. I give credit to the studio. They took a risk. They listened to fans. They took recent previous successes like Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, and the most recent Joker. The box office results they listened to, the reviews, both audiences and critics they listened to, they have shown that this is what audience want. The studio took a risk on this in numerous ways. First and foremost, the director, Matt Reeves, which you might know from the recent Planet of the Apes trilogy, Cloverfield. He's come a long way since one of his first films, A Pallbearer with David Schwimmer and Gwyneth Paltrow. Also, renegade pick of cast such as Robert Pattinson as Batman, Colin Farrell as the unrecognizable Penguin, and Paul Dane as the Riddler. I have to admit, I will be completely honest on my reviews. I tend to have to. When I first saw the cast, it turned me off. But sometimes understand that the craziest casting has to be some of the best. There's a rhyme and reason for everything. Also, the runtime was probably one of the biggest gambles for the studio. It is the longest runtime for a Batman movie. The Batman runs just barely under 3 hours. This also made me question the decisions, but you know what? It's a bad news bears scenario. So those of you that tuned into my first episode, again, I wasn't a huge fan of the preview. I wasn't a huge fan of the casting, and looking at 3 hours almost made me dread going. I went to the screening and I was uncertain, but I kept an open mind. I was rooting for this film to be good. Nobody wants a bad Batman film. I think we're all in agreement on that. But with everything going against it in my mind, I was scared I was going to sit through another Batman and Robin for 3 hours. That was my dread. I am pleasantly surprised to announce to fans of the Batman films and in Batman in general that this film, in fact, does not suck. On the contrary, it stands as one of the best, in my opinion, of the franchise, but is not without its minor faults. The movie stars Robert Pattinson as Batman 2 years on the job with the Riddler, Paul Dane. The Riddler begins murdering the high society, high privileged, and just people in power. Batman teams up with Commissioner Gordon, played by the brilliant Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, to investigate the corruption of Gotham City and discover what kind of hero he is meant to be. The film kicks us off in a noir-style opening with the world's greatest detective, Batman, narrating, which is a refreshing start that gives something new for the audience to witness that they haven't seen from a Batman film. The film surrounds the beginning with thoughts of fear of those that commit the crimes and those in power take Batman as a walking joke. This is going to add very good conflict for what's to come for Batman. The film uses music, surroundings, and vulnerability of low tech very cleverly. Knowing that Batman doesn't have the tech he does in other films, he has to use his detective skills to help solve the case. This plays well in scenes with Commissioner Gordon. The movie never really focuses on the wealth of Bruce Wayne, but his commitment to vengeance, which does leave a soft point for the development of the Bruce Wayne character. The movie's atmosphere does add something different, and it adds to the noir feel the first half of the film and support not necessarily Bruce Wayne's character, but Batman's character development in an eye-pleasing way. The pacing of the film will stand out. It is absolutely spot on without filling the screen with a lot of visual superhero garbage. The music helps support not just the atmosphere, but mostly each of the main characters. The first thing the audience will notice is the use of 2 main music themes, Ave Maria by Sherbert from Lady of the Lake and Shopkins' Sonata No. 2. I can deep dive in these 2 songs and throughout the movie on the symbolism of it, but I don't want to spoil anything and I don't want to bore you. But the music is an absolute standout and is almost a puzzle in itself. and I'm sure by the end of the movie you can piece it together. The music alone asks the question of what the characters are vengeance and who are heroes. This movie is a fine line between a superhero movie and a man that is discovering who he is while he has the suit on. The movie's focus on Batman's brain versus brute is a very balanced and paced out rhythm. Matt Reeves also helped write the script along with Peter Craig, which you may know from Bad Boys for Life, The Hunger Games Mockingjay 1 and 2. It was also written by Bill Finger from Justice League, Batman vs. Superman, and Joker. All the writers do a fantastic job of the balance and trying to please fans from all across the spectrum. By the third act, it tends to lean towards those who want more action from their version of Batman, but it still doesn't go overboard on what the film actually is. The Riddler, played by Paul Dane, adds to the tone of the noir style by adding a version of the character that we have never seen. It is absolutely the opposite of any version that we've seen. Dane's version of the Riddler is a very sick, demented, and sometimes scary on screen to watch. It reminds us of Jigsaw from the Saw franchise. The character as a whole is very convincing and a fulfilling villain in this movie. It fits perfectly with the noir style the filmmakers are shooting for. But now it wouldn't be a Batman review without the review of the actor playing the Bat himself, Robert Pattinson. How does he stack up? Well, again, this opinion on Batman could end families, relationships, and end any listener to this show. But Pattinson absolutely deserves to be on screen as Batman. He plays Batman in a believable way. The man has come a long way from Twilight. He doesn't overdo it, and he recognizes the struggle of who Batman is. When it comes to Bruce Wayne, I'm going to treat this as two different characters because they are two different characters. I wanted more out of the Bruce Wayne character being a 3-hour movie, and that's not necessarily Robert Pattinson's fault because they could have created a little bit more screen time for Bruce Wayne. The movie spends less time on who Bruce Wayne is, along with his normal life, than the Batman himself. When Pattinson plays Bruce, he is very awkward, but to points where it seems too awkward. I wanted to see how he became the world's greatest detective. I think is the biggest miss from this character. It's hard to adjust from seeing a blockbuster Batman movies to this version of it, where you want to see the origin of Bruce Wayne, which is we've seen origins for Batman all the time. This one has a new spin on it. I'd love to see how Batman became the greatest detective, which is one of the minor downfalls to this. Hopefully, this movie has sequels where we can deep dive into Bruce Wayne's more past, Reeves' version of it. The film acts as a puzzle to the audience as well, and challenges the audience to ask the question, what is right, what is wrong, what is justice, and what is vengeance? It challenges the characters to convince the audience of who is right and who is wrong. This is a movie that doesn't insult the fans, it doesn't insult the audience. It makes you for the entire 3 hours think, and that is unlike any Batman movie that we've seen on screen. Some people want to go into a Batman movie and just have pure action. I guarantee you they challenge the mind in this movie where you will be entertained and it will get you thinking during the entire movie. This is not a superhero movie. It's a hero movie of an iconic character that shows brains and values is what makes our choices heroic. And I can just say the Batsuit, and just to add on, the Batsuit in this is at top form as well. It's one of my favorite Batsuits after you see it in action, as well as the basic Batmobile. This movie proves you don't have to go big to be a great Batman movie. You have to have a good story. This movie deserves 3.5 stars. It's not the best superhero movie out there, but it's pretty damn close. I recommend everybody go see it. It's best seen probably during the day where you have time to just spend 3 hours and just watch this amazing picture. It is rare that we will have a 3-hour hero movie that's not preloaded with special effects and brain-damaging, mind-numbing, pointless pieces of crap. So 3.5 stars, go see The Batman. It took me by surprise, and I think it'll take you by surprise. This movie totally reminded me the first time I saw Mask of the Phantasm, which is one of the better Batman movies out there in my opinion too. It focuses a lot on the gangster life, the conspiracy, and not too much on the cartoonish villains. So go check it out. This movie will definitely be praised as one of the better Batman movies in my opinion. You won't be disappointed.
A verdict has been made on this episode of The Movie Wire by your host, Justin Henson. He thanks you for listening to the show. You can follow Justin on Instagram and Twitter at MovieWireShow or visit his website, www.themoviewire.com. Oh, and don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we will see you at the movies.